Jerry follows an army medic who suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. He becomes a bank robber after becoming addicted to drugs and falls into debt. Jerry is directed by the Russo brothers of the Avengers fame and stars Tom Holland and Sierra Bravo. Now, I went into this movie with zero expectations. I really had no desire to watch this movie. It's just not a subject matter that really sucks me in. It's not something I thought I would enjoy watching. Now, I only give it a shot due to being a massive fan of the Russo brothers' work in the MCU and as a fan of Tom Holland. Now, having zero expectations initially, even from the get-go, the announcement of this movie, and then when the reviews started pouring in and they're not being all that positive towards this movie, my expectations were at rock bottom. I only watched this movie, as I said, due to see what the director and this actor, on their fourth collaboration, what could they do outside of superhero movies. Now, having seen the movie for myself now and forming my own opinion, I'm a little confused as to such a negative response towards this movie. It comes as a surprise to me because I had just no expectations, but I actually found a lot of good things in this movie over the negative. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but I feel like the positives are very strong. Especially the acting. Tom Holland has never been better. I've seen him in other work outside of the MCU, outside of Spider-Man. He's a good actor, but this movie is just... I personally thought he was Oscar worthy. He was absolutely phenomenal. He brought the emotion that he needed to bring for such a raw and hard role to really play, to dive into post-traumatic stress disorder, the traumas of war and addiction and becoming a criminal. I thought he did such a fantastic job. Him, as well as his love interest in the movie, played by Sierra Bravo, I thought she was fantastic. I've never heard of her. I've never seen her in anything else. I don't know if she's in anything else, but in this movie, she was absolutely phenomenal. She really held the screen with Tom Holland, who is, an established actor now. I also found the cinematography to be quite strong. The shot choices and just the look of the movie and what the Russos were able to bring to the screen, to this production on such a small budget. This movie, I believe, in terms of what I've looked up, it only cost $10 million. So this is an indie level movie directed by these guys who have directed $300 million movies. I mean, they made this indie movie look like a $100 million movie, and I thought that was very impressive. I've seen a negative response to that, in that they were just flaunting their abilities. I don't see how that is a complaint. I do have a complaint in terms of the style of this movie. It is extremely stylish. I was not expecting that at all. More so in the first half of the movie. There's, fourth wall breaking, and it's just, and the use of drugs and how it looks on screen it's extremely different to what I've seen the Russos do before. But to one degree, I liked that. I enjoyed seeing the Russos have their own style and be able to play with that, because in my opinion, the filmmakers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they really have to stick to a certain style. I enjoyed seeing these directors be able to show their style more and have a more ambitious, artistic approach to this story and to their filmmaking. And as I said, on one end, that is both a negative and a positive in this movie, because it brought a level of imbalance between the style. The first half of the movie displays this very strongly, a little bit too much in my opinion, and it seems to just wither off. In the second portion of the movie, second portion dealing with the post-traumatic stress disorder and the drug addiction and the crime and the more nitty-gritty aspects of it. It got rid of the stylish approach, which I would have either liked to have not had that stylish approach so much for the whole thing, or it carried it throughout. It just seemed a little imbalanced in that they kind of just forgot about it. I mean, Tom Holland, he talks to the screen like a lot. It's kind of jarring. And then they just completely drop that. He also narrates way too much and unnecessary throughout the first half of the movie, and then and then it just drops and there's no more narration. I found that a little confusing, because sometimes it worked and others, and then you just get rid of it. I found that a little bit weird. So that is kind of a negative for me in terms of I found the narration to be completely unnecessary. I'd rather see this happening than being told what was happening. I also found that the directors put a strong focus on the love story aspect of the movie. Now, I've never read the book. I don't know the complete story of everything that happened. I don't even know if this love interest is a real person. But I thought that aspect of the movie was obvious. That's the heart of the movie. That is the main emotional crux of the movie, and I thought they really nailed that. It's not perfectly executed. It's not the best love story ever, but in terms of, I feel, what the directors were trying to go for and how they portrayed that, I thought it was very well done. Now, going forward in terms of other aspects of the movie, I have seen complaints in terms of this displaying not justice but displaying easy redemption, and I don't get that. They're not portraying a necessarily evil person, a terrible human being. I felt like they were displaying a broken person, and what these traumas that were laid upon Tom Holland's character, how they affected everybody around him. He wasn't necessarily a terrible person who needed redemption. So it was a little jarring to hear a negative response towards that. And to my knowledge, this story is based off of a real person, and some of the events actually did happen. I'm sure, this is a Hollywood movie. They take liberties and change things, but what they were getting across, I thought, was done quite well. This movie is very hard-hitting, very emotional. I found myself tearing up at times due to how strong performances were, and I'm a little baffled by how this negative response is, because the acting on display, the cinematography, the direction, the story being told, I did not feel it was so formulaic and just generic. I thought with the style and the way it was told, I thought was quite ambitious, and I don't see that as fully a negative. As I said prior, the style was a bit too much for me, but it was ambitious, and I would much rather have ambitious direction and vision than generic. I just want to emphasize that no, this is not a perfect movie, but it has such strong performances and vision to it that I had no expectations for this movie, so I'm a little more strongly opinionated on it due to how shocked I was of how much I actually enjoyed it. Not that it's necessarily enjoyable, but to an extent, the first half of the movie does have some levity to it, or I did find myself enjoying it. When it gets into the dark and gritty aspects of it, no, that is not enjoyable and fun to watch. I actually found it hard to watch at times in terms of the drug addiction. The actress, Sierra Bravo, yes, she's an adult, she's in her 20s. She has a very youthful look to her. In my opinion, she looks like a kid. So to see all this drug use with the heroine and just how realistic it looked, it was portrayed. I found that to be kind of hard to watch. I thought this movie was quite powerful in my opinion. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Cherry. I was impressed by this movie. I gotta say, I was shocked. I would definitely say if you do have Apple TV Plus to give it a shot. I think the critics are missing something on this one. I think they're wrong. And yeah, leave your thoughts down below. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you hated. Keep the discussion going. As always, stay safe out there and keep loving cinema.